Hey guys, hey. Wow, it's been a week and I've been thinking about you and thinking about the conversation we started last week, and I wanted to make sure that we continued. As you know, my name is LadyBlack, LightWorker, and I'm here just to be a vessel for love and healing and growth. And if you tuned in last week, then you know what a light worker is, but we'll get into a little bit more of that. Also, I hope to leave you with something to chew on that you can take with you for the rest of your week, for the rest of your life, actually. In all thy ways, acknowledge God. But as we do that, there are a lot of things and stumbling blocks and obstacles that we come across that can keep us from that. And if we are not consciously walking on our path or consciously working towards our own healing, then these obstacles and, curves in the road and stumbling blocks that we come across can lead us off of our path. So I pray you are well. I pray you are manifesting your dreams. I pray you are sitting with God every day, sitting with Spirit. And I also pray that the message that God gives me today is beneficial to you, and that you can carry it with you, you can chew on it for the rest of the week, and that it motivates you and pushes you towards the greatest version of yourself. I have a lot of things I'd like to bring to light today. Well, let me not say a lot. I have a few things I'd like to bring to light today, and some of it is just, continuing the conversation from last week, and some of the things that I want to bring up today are for you to push you forward, to push us forward, to push me forward as well. As in doing this work, it helps to heal me as well. It's never a one-way street. We are all in this together. That's what community is for. I really believe that's how human beings are made, to be in communion with each other. So I hope you're ready to dance again. And the reason why we're calling this Ready to Dance Again is because my hope and my goal is that the Sunday series that I create, or that I have been chosen to push forward into the world, reaches people who may be looking at an obstacle in their life, or reaches people who have just overcome an obstacle in their life, but they kind of don't feel like they fit in their skin anymore. I remember when I got my liver transplant, and the healing process was, for some people, for me it was longer than others, and but the healing has no ending, really. We're all always healing, and we're all always working towards being our most best self, our greatest version of us. And after the liver transplant, I kind of felt a little bit lost. I stopped dancing during the process leading up to the liver transplant. I stopped doing poetry even before that. Working full-time, dancing and doing artistry I wasn't finding balance in all of that. So I started just doing the dance and working full-time. And but being diagnosed took me to a place of feeling like I had some sort of lack. I didn't feel good in my body, so dancing became something that I kind of shied away from. I remember having edema, which is swelling, but I had edema in my stomach, but the rest of my body was normal size, so I always looked pregnant. And that feeling, just the heaviness in my belly, and also the feeling that people would perceive me as pregnant, was hurtful for me. It was painful for me. So I didn't want to dance. I didn't want to go out a lot. And then after the transplant, I kind of felt like I had to rebuild myself. And so I hope and pray that the messages that I leave, that I'm able to share, that I'm being used to give to the world, speak to those who are facing an obstacle, speak to those who are overcoming an obstacle but don't quite feel normal yet, and speak to all of us who know and acknowledge that the obstacles of life is life. It is proof that you are alive, and the pain of life is lessons, our lessons. So when we go through obstacles, we should definitely focus on not the why me, but the how and the what am I supposed to get from this? How am I supposed to get through this, and what am I supposed to get from this? So I want to speak to those of you out there who may be facing obstacles, but this message is for everyone, because we all will face obstacles at some point, and we all will get through them, God willing. And as we get through them, we will need to readjust and find our new normal, and that is what those are the people who I hope to be speaking to. So that said, I want also to go back to last week and restate what the healing modalities are that I work with. God has chosen me to be used to push energy, as a vessel. I just am open for the energy of God to be pushed through me into you. And by doing that, it is magnified because my prayers are in it, my energy is in it. And by doing that, I receive healing as well. So it's a two-way, like I said before, it's a two-way street. We're in this healing work together. LightWorker / spirit worker. We're working with spirit to bring healing to people. In addition to that, because I was doing that since a very young age, when I became aware of the idea of Reiki, I decided to study that as well. So Reiki is pretty much the same thing, only it comes in the adornment of the Japanese master Usui Reiki, who went into the mountains and to sit with himself because as an allopathic doctor, a Western trained medical doctor, MD, he was not satisfied with the way that style of healing, that modality of healing was servicing people. He felt like it wasn't holistic. So he sat in meditation up in the mountains in Japan, and it was revealed to him that energetic healing is also needed alongside allopathic healing. The healing of his own ancestors, which Reiki is only 100 years old, but the concept of a laying on of hands, or the concept of using your hands to channel energy to someone, is ancient as the day is long. It is as old as time, as old as humans. So we have almost in every tradition and religion used the concept of putting our hands either on or hovering over someone to transmit energy from spirit into that person. So the fact that from childhood I had been doing that, I had been doing it unconsciously and then later on consciously, but I was doing it with myself and with my family, not with them ever knowing it. It was just something I did because I was young. Sometimes I was afraid, or sometimes I felt energy that I knew wasn't necessarily balanced, and I just pray like this, or I'd pray imagining myself sending that healing to the person who I was praying for. And I know for sure that in my heart and in my spirit, I knew that it was making a difference and an impact. So as I grew up and grew older and came across all this information about Christianity, laying on of hands, about Reiki, and about other traditions and spiritual practices, I knew that I was on the right path. So Reiki became something that I incorporated into my healing as well. Yoga, meditation specifically, but yoga as a whole, I have been practicing for a little over 10 years, on and off sporadically at first, but then the last 5 years I really started studying, and the last year or so I finally did my 200-hour yoga training, and I am doing my 300 hours, so I'll be a full 500-hour yoga teacher. But yoga, meditation specifically, is something that I would do as a child when I was sending the energy to people. So I would sit still. It would often be before bed, and it would often be in silence and quiet in dark time, in a dark space, and I would just sit in bed, eyes closed, and either imagining the energy coming from God through me and into someone else, or I would sit in quiet till my mind could be calm enough to speak or feel spirit within me, and then I just imagine that spirit growing so big that it would cover the people that I loved and the people who I was praying for. So that's how I work with energy of the greatest spirit, the Most High. That's how I am able to be used to provide healing energy to others consciously. But like I said before, this is being a spirit worker, a light worker, is not necessarily something you have to do consciously. It is something that can happen unconsciously when you're just living in your truest self, being your greatest self, and just being who you are and allowing the overflow of God to come through you and impact others. So that's enough about that. That's enough about the healing modalities that I work with. That's enough about how we got here and why we're here. And oh no, I'm so sorry. There's two more things. One, harkening back to yoga. As a dancer, I do use movement to help push energy through and within us, and I use dance and movement to lighten the spirit, to bring the spirit back to the forefront of the consciousness, back to the center of the body and the heart, to ensure that your spirit is open. Sometimes it takes some movement to get through some blockages, and sometimes those blockages start in the mind, and you have to release it with the body, with the shaking of the body. And there's so many passages that we can discuss in the Bible that talk about dancing and praising God and how healing that is, and all the traditional indigenous cultures practice. They dance with purpose. They dance for harvest. They dance for rain. They dance for healing. They dance for celebration. They dance for love, for fertility, for marriage. So all of these things, all of these traditions that have existed since the beginning of time, they still exist within us. So when you move, and you move with a purpose, and you move with a goal, and you release energy, you're also healing the body and you're healing the mind. So yes, I do work with movement as well. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. I want to jump into something to chew on. Something to chew on this week is the question that I started off this video with, and that is, are you healing? I didn't ask you that specifically, but I foreshadowed it, and you can watch the video again and we can discuss you can discuss amongst yourselves or with your family the question, are you healing? Are you intentionally working toward being the best version of yourself every day? I wrote a quote a while back that was, the light you shine in the world will lead the way for those who come behind you. Shine bright. And that quote basically is enlightening us all to work in light and to know that when we work in light and we lead with light, that we're leading people around us to also work in light and lead in light and love in light. But often we forget that our purpose is beyond, and our existence is beyond ourselves. We live in a world of rugged individualism, and there's nothing individual about humanity. We've heard people say, I came in the world by myself. You never came in the world by yourself. Not only was spirit always with you, but your birth mother was there when you were born, and more than likely there were a lot of people around at the birthing station or in the hospital or in your home when you were born. No one's born alone. No one builds alone, and no one grows alone. And if you isolate yourself from your community when you feel at your lowest or when you feel like you're going through something, then you also prevent yourself from receiving the healing that you need. Healing comes from within, but healing is also magnified when it's in a group session. And I can remember being in the hospital, and at one point there were at least 20, maybe 23, 25 people in my hospital room, all praying together for my healing. It was practically like a seance. It was highly spiritual. And I wasn't even conscious. I mean, I could feel the energy of the people. I was dipping in and out of consciousness. I was hearing music being played for us. That's another healing modality that exists that I'm studying now. But the healing of a good song, the healing of a prayer, the healing of someone's well wishes is necessary. We are communal people. No one does this alone. So I hope to build a community amongst you guys as we continue. So back to the question, are you healing? Are you taking the steps necessary for you to show up in the world as the best version of yourself possible? We are all here to serve. That service is best done when we are consciously working towards being the best version of ourselves. That means that if I have physical ailments, if I have mental ailments, if I have spiritual ailments, that I'm seeking out the necessary help that I need to alleviate those ailments, or to learn how to dance with those ailments, to find balance in my body, mind, and spirit. We are here to serve. The human condition is to be in communion with each other, with one another. We are all magnified when we can sit in council with one another, hear and use each other as soundboards. Now, this isn't to mean that you are not having a personal and individual journey through life. But it is to mean that your personal and individual journey has impact on the world. And the world's journey, the journey that the world is going through together, has impact on you. And the best way to heal the world is to heal each one of us, for us to take on the challenge of making ourselves better. If you're not working towards that, then What are you doing? Are you distracted by the world? Are you allowing the world to live your life? Are you living? Are you using the blessing that God gave you? I think of people who have children and how our trauma, our dis-ease, our lack of health, mental, spiritual, emotional, physical, impacts our children. How I was impacted by my parents' health or lack thereof. How my pops died when I was 11, just before my 12th birthday. How that impacted me emotionally. How that had a ripple effect throughout the rest of my life. Are we working on ourselves so that we are showing up as the best version of ourselves for our children? Our children are members of the world, and in all reality, we are representations, we are members of a larger society in which we affect. For example, somebody hit my car while it was parked. That person was not healed, because a healed person would have left me a little note saying, this is my phone number. I'm so sorry I hit your car. We can exchange insurance information and I'll have it taken care of. But hurt people hurt people. And if we're raising children, or if we're giving in loving relationships, or trying to be in love, or trying to get a mate, or trying to have just a healthier sense of self, we need to be aware of our dis-ease. We need to work towards healing our dis-ease so that we can show up in the world as the best version of ourselves. I'm going to leave you with that note. Hopefully you'll chew on it and have something to say in the comments. This is the beginning of our journey together. This is only episode number 2, and like I'm from Baltimore. No, I'm not. I'm from New York. But this is only the second iteration of Ready to Dance Again, and I hope you're ready to dance again. I hope you're ready to dance. All of us have been through a lot, and all of us have the opportunity to shine bright if we want to. And we can easily dim our light by isolating. We can easily dim our light by pushing those who love us away. We can easily dim our light by dwelling on what's wrong, or dwelling on what does need to heal, rather than seeking the healing that we deserve, that we truly want. But I'm gonna leave you with that to chew on, and I pray that you will have an amazing, amazing rest of your day, an amazing, amazing week. As you walk through life, remember to consider God. And as you walk through life, remember to work towards being the best version of yourself. If you don't know how to do that, we're going to talk about that next week. Peace.